Welcome to the Game Crew Podcast, Episode 3. This is the re-recording of Episode 3 because last time my microphone, I had switched settings on my OBS and I didn't realize that I didn't take my microphone with it. So I went to go edit it to post it and there was no audio on my end. So this is the second part of Episode 3. Also, I'm sorry that it's been so delayed. I just started streaming again. Reeves started a job again, so our schedules have been kind of clashing, but we will surely figure that out at some point. So I actually have quite a few topics here. Some of them are from PUD, some of them are from Reeves. We got some good shit to go through here. But
I actually literally just thought of a topic that I would very much like to discuss while you were talking.
Well, real quick here, we're gonna make this quick because I want to talk about this real quick. Fortnite. We touched on this for half a second before we started the podcast. PUD does not like Fortnite. Reeves does not like Fortnite. Fortnite holds a special place in my heart, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. The reason I do not play Fortnite now is for a few different reasons. I would like to hear your reasoning as to why the game is trash, but I don't play Fortnite anymore because the lack of attention that the developers pay to the people who play it is way less than it used to be. They're not coming out with updates as quick. They added skill-based matchmaking to the game, as well as half the people in the lobbies are bots now, like literally bots, not just bad players. And to me, that completely kills the motivation to play the game. So, that being said, why is Fortnite trash to you, Reeves?
Okay. So I have one word, well, technically two. You want to get technical, and it's Warzone. That's why Warzone.
I don't know. Just like other battle royale games, I can't compare the two. Like, they're so much different. They're both battle royales, but they're not. You don't play them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the reason why I don't like Fortnite. Here's the reason why I never did like Fortnite. Fortnite is too cartoony. You gotta buy all these emotes, you gotta buy all these skins just to fucking play, and then when you start fucking playing, you get demolished by 9-year-olds when you're 19, 20, 21, and so on. So these 9-year-olds just shit on you, and then they start doing these stupid dances, and then it's so it's annoying. That's why I hate it. I mean, it's not. I mean, the idea is cool, but what the?
So to me, it sounds like it's not that the game is bad; it's that you just couldn't get good at it. Which, now hear me out.
Yeah.
When the game first came out,
even though I'm not good at it, I still don't think it's a good game. When
the game first came out, Corey was the one who got me to play it because I didn't like the cartoony aspect. I didn't like all that. And then once I started playing it, I was hooked. And even now, I love the art style of Fortnite. For me, it's not about the graphics. It never has been. It's just that, for whatever reason, seemed like it was really childish. But then once you actually play it and you learn the skill gap of everything that's in Fortnite, it is the farthest thing from childish. Somebody who's actually 8 years old, the odds of them being better than you if you actually put the time into it are next to none, because there's so much that goes into being good at Fortnite that the odds of running into somebody who plays Call of Duty that's 8 years old that's going to destroy you is much higher than somebody who plays Fortnite. 100%. There's so much more that goes into being good at Fortnite than there is a Call of Duty. The skill gap is just way higher. And that also is part of the reason why I don't play it anymore, because I cannot seem to grasp that level of skill. With the building and shit, I can't seem to grasp that. But yeah, basically that's all I wanted to say about Fortnite. But I know you don't have opinions on that.
No, I actually do. Thank you very much.
Well, any opinion that you have is pretty much irrelevant because you played it for all of 2 hours.
2 seconds. Yeah.
I would have had more fun if I had a gaming PC than I did on controller, because controller controls are ass, whereas PC you'd have actual hotkeys for stuff.
I feel like if you owned a PC, you would say the complete opposite. Yeah. I feel like you would have tried to play Fortnite on PC and you would have put that shit down after one match.
Real talk.
I mean, that shit is so hard.
I did with controller, but the actual controller controls are just not good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more options and shit on there's a lot of stuff that you should have options for that you can't do on controller because it's a controller. So I get what you're saying, but what I am saying though is if you owned a PC and you owned a console and you downloaded Fortnite on both of them, you would have dropped the PC version way faster than you would have dropped the console version. Guarantee it.
I mean, yeah, maybe, but I can tell you right now, having to scroll through to get different build types, while other people can just hit a fucking keybound 3 for a fucking ramp, works way fucking easier than trying to hit R1 repeatedly to get to a build.
Well, and then the other thing is like you didn't get used to playing like that. People who are in the World Cup, well, the World Cup hasn't happened in like a year and a half, but the people who were in the World Cup and in the tournaments and shit, a lot of them were controller players, and they were shitting on PC players. So
is that because of aim assist, or is that because they were good?
Well, the aim assist thing, they were definitely good, RT. Like, come on now. Let's be real. The aim assist thing is an issue in and of itself. So mouse and keyboard players, you have more precision, right? You can literally click on heads. Controller players can't do that, so you have aim assist. There's a balancing act when it comes to that. I have seen many people who were PC gamers that have switched to try to use a controller, and they're like, I don't know how the fuck people do this. This is so fucking hard. You know, like there's positives and negatives to both. I don't know if you know who TP is. He used to be a Call of Duty pro player. He played Call of Duty on console as a professional player for years. Now he's a content creator, and he does both PC and controller, and he'll shit on you with both of them. And he basically he made a video talking about, or maybe he was in a podcast talking about the differences between both of them and why they have strengths and weaknesses, and why one isn't necessarily better than the other when it comes to that whole debate of aim assist and shit. So, yeah, not gonna change my mind on that at all. Hello?
Next topic.
Alright, what do you guys want to talk about?
You have the list.
Well, I know that you guys have topics.
2021 Ford Bronco.
It's clean.
What?
It is clean.
That is the literal only thing I care about.
Yeah, no. I'll pass.
You don't like it?
I don't like Ford.
I'm
regardless of the brand, what is your opinion on it?
Jesus Christ, that's what it fucking looks like?
It's almost
Yikes.
only...
It's almost identical to what... Well, it's almost identical to what the old Bronco used to look like, just a slightly updated
Actually,
version of it.
yeah, it's...
No, it kind of looks like a Range Rover, my guy.
Well, you can go ahead and
That's
pull
what
up
all people
an
said.
old...
It's...
You can go ahead
I
and
know
pull
what
up
it
an
looked
old...
like.
like
I literally worked on an 89 Bronco. I know.
No, pull up 60. It's modeled after, like, the first Bronco, like a 67. But everything on that is not geared for, like, comfort, at least the base one. It's geared for legitimate performance.
Yeah. Well, I know the specs are good, but we'll just have to see how good it'll be. I mean, personally, I'm not a Ford guy. I'm not going to, like, hate on Ford, but I just don't have an opinion on it just because I don't study Ford. I don't care for Ford.
I'll never understand the whole vehicle elitist shit. Like,
it's not even
weird.
that. Like, it looks cool, don't get me wrong, but it's like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a opinion on it because I don't know.
What is your preferred brand of vehicle?
Right now I'm grinding for a fucking Chevy Silverado, but I'd honestly drive anything other than, like, I don't know, I drive a Ram. I drive a fucking, well, Dodge is a Ram, GMC. I don't care. The reason I've just had so many bad experiences with Ford that I just don't care to drive one.
That is completely fine and understandable.
That's why, like,
If you had opened with that and not just said, I don't care about Ford, I would have been like, okay,
I just
that
don't.
makes sense.
But I just don't care about Ford. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna shit on you if you have a Ford, but like, I'm not gonna drive.
I've had a lot of negative experiences with Fords too, so I get what you're saying. Although in my head, I try to make sure that, like, I try to not completely write off Ford as a whole, because I feel like if I would have I had more Fords in my personal life and around me than any other type of car, And I think if it would have been switched with any other vehicle, Chevy, whatever, I probably would have seen similar things happen, just different problems. So I try not to like judge it too much off that.
Well, I mean, at the same time, like, there are people that are like, Ford's fucking stupid, it's all Chevy gang all the way, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, but...
They definitely drive a 98 K1500 and have a rebel flag on their tailgate.
Yeah.
If they talk like that, that is the literal definition of them.
Yeah, that shit's weird. It's just really weird to me. I like the new Bronco. I think it looks clean. If I wasn't a broke bitch, I would want to buy it, honestly. But
I mean, $30,000 for a base price is still really affordable.
if I went, even if I had good credit, unless I'm making like 40, 50K a year, if I walked into the dealership, they'd laugh at me until I left. So, yeah, definitely not in the cards for me anytime soon.
Bruh, you underestimate how much a fucking dealership wants to your money. Like,
yeah, for real.
I literally, the way I got my
guess you're
truck
right.
is the dealership talked the bank into giving me the loan.
I guess you're right. Yeah, they do press really hard to get that for you because it helps them. So, I mean, maybe it would work out, but I don't know.
Like, the dealership wants your money, and the bank wants you to not be able to pay the loan so that they get money and the vehicle. Like, granted, if you find, like, a hometown bank and dealership that actually has decent people, they won't be such dicks.
Speaking of banks, to kind of transition topics again here. Speaking of banks, PUD, you came up with this topic. If you were to rob a bank, how would you do it? And maybe you can word this better than I can. This is just how I remembered you asking me it. Maybe it's a little bit different, but is that close to what you had said, RT?
If you had to rob a bank, could you, in any amount of detail, tell how you would do it? The reason I ask this is because I don't want to say I do, but I swear to God, I have some form of fucking attention deficit disorder.
I think that there's a lot of people
I will
that have
literally,
that thought.
I will literally be just like working, and I'll be like, if I was to rob a bank, I'm fairly certain I could do it in a way that I would at least get away for a bit. But yeah, it's just a random thought that I had. To the point now where I was at work earlier, and I was like, how would I find a fence to get rid of the cash that I get? And I know I can't get sequential bills. I'd have to wear nylon gloves so I don't leave fingerprints. Just legitimately, and then I'll be like, wait, why am I? This is incriminating to think about.
Yeah, I'm not gonna snitch on myself.
Okay, so
I'm just kidding. I have a couple ideas, but
I don't intend on ever robbing a bank or anything like that.
Me neither. Like,
honestly, the only thing that I ever saw this isn't something that I ever think about, like ever. Not because I'm like, oh, PUD definitely knows that I'm not a goody two shoes by any means, but
No, you're not.
I've never thought about doing anything like that. I don't know. It's just not something that I think about. But that being said, when I was in West Virginia, there was a person who robbed a bank there, in the area that I was living in. To add to the other shit that happened there, by the way, RT. But a guy robbed a bank there, and it was crazy because he never got caught. The way that he got away with doing it is he went into the bank with like multiple layers of clothing on and gloves, obviously. And he robbed the bank. They gave him the money, and he dipped, and he got away because they couldn't identify who he was. They couldn't identify his build. Nothing. They don't know if it was a male or a woman. Nothing. Because he had so many layers on that you couldn't tell if he was big or not. And I thought that was a pretty good idea. I was like, huh. And then he just dipped. Granted, the police force in West Virginia is not very good, so that could just be a lack of police ability. They're all fucking doing shit with their cousins and whatever, but
pretty much their police force is just super troopers.
Yeah, they're bad up there. But I always thought that was cool. I'd probably do something similar to that. Especially with all this fat, I'd have to. Dude, I would literally look like the Michelin Man walking on that bitch. I would.
Do you want my take on how I would do it?
Yes.
It's extensive, fair warning. Step one, I'd have to grow my hair out. Because I'd grow it to 5 inches long, I'd get bleach, I'd bleach 2 inches of it, have a hat on, and have that bleach 2 inches sticking out so I look blonde. Step two, I would get non-prescription blue contacts and wear my prescription glasses, so I don't have brown eyes, I have blue eyes and wear glasses. Step 3, I'd get good at makeup. I'd cover up my current tattoos, have a fake tattoo put in the same place so it's literally impossible for me to have hidden a tattoo. Make sure that that fake tattoo is on display so they give a false identification. Step 4 is get like maybe get like a lift or something in my boots so I look way taller than I am. I'm like 6'1" now, 6 foot even. Make myself look 6'3". Step 2, I'd hide my face completely because obviously you can identify a face regardless of the eye color change.
Wait, you just said like 4 steps and now you're back at step 2.
No, shush.
I think he's got steps and sub-steps here.
Oh, okay.
I do, because if you want to do it, you have to do it right. That's why I'm changing my hair color, and as soon as I rob it, I would cut it once I get somewhere and burn the cut hair, because if there's no blonde hair, I didn't do it. If I don't have blue eyes, I didn't do it. If I have a tattoo in a place that there was a different tattoo, I didn't do it. I would use my truck, take it somewhere, ditch the money. I'd make sure it's non-sequential and there's no dye packs. I would take my truck, because there's already fingerprints in my truck. Obviously, I'm all over the crime scene in my truck. It's my truck. Once I ditch the money, I would rip out the steering console and hotwire it and say it was stolen, like 2 hours later. That way, if they find it and they find remnants of the bank robber, who was me, I couldn't be blamed for it because I had my truck stolen.
I feel like that one's almost. I feel like there's other ways to perfect that one. I feel like that one's almost pulling it too close to home.
Yeah.
I'm not done though.
Okay.
There needs to be a diversion while I'm doing it, and this is gonna be really fucked up, and don't judge me for it. But I would call a bomb threat in on multiple businesses and multiple places in Beatrice.
Ooh, make sure it's schools. That always gets attention.
I would get school, a different bank, Walmart, and probably a fast food chain. There's 3 different police forces in Beatrice. City, county, and state. City and county are both based...
Wait, hold on. You probably shouldn't be talking about this and referencing your actual town. That's a bad idea, dude.
I'm only doing it because I've only ever thought, like, I'm obviously not going to do it. There's no way I'd have the ability to do this.
Okay, well, for your own safety, let's not reference the town
Well,
anymore.
whatever...
Let's say that you do get pinned for something, and then they find this.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're fucked.
Or let's say this podcast. Let's say my channel, grows a fuck ton in the next year or two, right? And there's a bunch of people that watch this. Let's say this podcast gets its own cult following, for example, and people are like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go call businesses, blah blah, or the police force, and say that so and so says he's gonna do this as like a prank because people are fucked. Yeah, you don't risk that.
Yeah, don't.
Fine. Whatever city I live in, I would do all these steps I already said. Once I'm going to get out of this fucking city. I'm going to go to an undisclosed location that I have permission to be on, so I'm not trespassing, so if I am caught there, I'm just doing whatever I was doing in the first place. I would ditch the money there, again, making sure that there's not sequential, no dye packs. Plant my truck, quote-unquote, stolen somewhere else. Get a ride back to my house, call the police and say my truck was stolen. My truck is also extremely identifiable. So if suddenly my truck was stolen and they find it, they're obviously going to say, well, someone stole this and did this. Look, the key switch is ripped out and it's hot wired. And he doesn't match the description in any way, shape, or form. The only part I haven't thought about is how to pass the money off, because I don't really have a fence.
A big part of robbing banks, I'm not a professional, obviously, I have no experience in this field, but from what I've seen and other shit, is the biggest problem with robbing a bank is people like to spend the money too quick, or anything like that. To be realistic, you have to steal the money with the intentions of not spending any of that money for a very long time.
The other thing is that instead of passing the money off, because obviously if I get sequential bills, if suddenly a lot of those bills are spent and it matches the same serial number on those bills, they're going to know it was me. But if I go into a Casey's and say, hey, I have 100, can I get 250s? Or, hey, I have 100, I need to break it so I can buy groceries. Sure, no one's going to fucking fact check that 100. That cashier is not going to pay attention to my face. And I still won't match the description of the person that did the fucking robbery.
Yeah, but your fingerprints will be all over the bill if they somehow, like...
Okay, if I wore rubber gloves during the heist, I could just say I got this $100 bill when I got money out of the ATM.
Yeah, if you wait long enough, it can be passed off as it being in circulation. But
Yeah.
a lot of the time, people they have that amount of money that they're sitting on. Most people cannot hold that. You know, I wouldn't be able to. I would be too. I just couldn't do it. I don't know. The only time that I would consider robbing a bank, even remotely consider it, is if I was on my way out. Like if I knew I was going to die soon. That'd be the only way I'd consider it.
The problem is that if you walk into any dealership, even us, we don't sell anything except mowers. If you walk in with like $6,000 in cash, my boss will say, "Go the hell away, come back with a check." You can't, in today's day and age, drop a shit ton of cash unless you're famous, because then they'll know how you got that money. But it's a pain in the ass for the business to actually go through a money transaction like that. And it's sketchy because you don't know how a random person suddenly got $5,000 in cash that they could just drop. So you spend it in small amounts. That way you aren't making big transactions to catch someone's eye, and that way you're passing off the stolen bills to someone else.
That is smart. I mean,
and you don't do it in businesses that look at money regularly. Like you don't go into a bank and try and pass off the stolen $100. Because they're going to be like, "Oh, hey, we have a fucking system that says that this bill is very sketchy." You go into like a gas station with an 80-year-old woman that doesn't even know what the hell she's doing.
Yeah, that's true too. I don't know. I would be too, on top of all of that, I would be way too anxious, like nervous that I'm going to get caught all the time. You know?
That's why you don't. That being said, robbing a bank attracts the attention of the FBI, and the FBI are good at what they do because they're fucking good at what they do.
Well, not only that, but like they have access to stuff that we can't even comprehend. Like they have access to tools and equipment and technology that we can't even comprehend because it's not out in the public yet. So no amount of preparation can prepare you for the unknown. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So there's always going to be that risk, yeah.
Like, they specifically employ fucking thieves. Like, there's a guy that has a YouTube channel. He was a fucking major thief for a long time. He stole hundreds of thousands of dollars of jewels, cash, fucking electronics.
I know who you're talking about.
And he got caught, and now he works with them to catch other people. And he specifically says, "I'm not endorsing robbing a bank."
Snitch.
But this is how I did it.
All right, so let's switch gears, switch topics here.
Okay, cool.
Very interesting. Oh, I thought you said that you didn't have one.
No, I have one.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, I mean, it's kind of long. It's a long process, but I feel like it'll. So, now you guys might think it's stupid, but I'm just thinking kind of like theatrical. Anyways. I would try to get a job at that bank and just be there for a long time. At least
Inside
to
job.
The point. Yeah. At least. Wait, what?
Inside job.
Yeah, exactly. I would try to be there as long enough as to where I will no longer be suspicious. Like, if I were to, like, get hired, wait a month, rob the bank, they'd be like, "It's probably this guy." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So be there long enough.
Especially if you, like, call in sick that day and then, we got robbed by a guy that sounds suspiciously like you.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I would wait along. Yeah, I would wait that long. And then after, honestly, I would probably just, like, go in. Probably do what that guy in West Virginia did, because that shit's smart as shit.
Yeah, that is pretty smart.
Wear a bunch of layers and clothing, masks, whatever, so they can't get a description. And then probably do what PUD said and make myself look taller, so that way I'm not the description. So kind of just, like, combine those two, except not going, like, as extensive as PUD. Like, cover up my tattoos and all that shit. Just
that shit is smart, but yeah.
It is really smart. And then, as you guys were saying, so after, hypothetically, it's successful, I get away with the money, now this is where the spending the money stuff comes in. I would do it in increments of depositing the cash in my account. I wouldn't go to a bank, I would go to an ATM. But I wouldn't do, like, for example, like 30,000 at a time. I would do it like, maybe like, a whole like my paycheck, for example, do like 400, 500 a week. stuff like that, until eventually I have no more money. Then now it's all in my account, and I put it into savings, and then yeah, I don't know. Because by the time that I put all the money into the account, it's gonna be years down the road. I'm talking like 20 years, 10 years. I
And you
don't
can
fucking know.
and you can even spend small amounts of it, if you need to, like the cash.
And with the cash, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
If you were gonna do that, I would do it in 3 separate banks. That way, no one can easily look and say, "Hey, that total is suspiciously close."
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah,
Have 3 separate
10 years
bank
ago,
accounts.
especially. Oh my god, the irony if you deposit it in the same bank you stole from.
But that's the kicker though. I wouldn't bank with the bank that I work at. That's the only thing.
I think they make you.
Well, in that case, I would after the bank, the robbery happens and we're all like, all right, so then there's another thing to think about. I didn't even think about that. Then after the suspicion of like you guys get robbed, whatever, wait a couple more years, I guess. Quit the job, close the account, move to a different state or whatever. Open up a new bank account.
I would move to a different country, one that doesn't have an extradition law, like which one? Puerto Rico's owned by us.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I don't know,
Cuba.
but like I said, like that shit could be a movie within itself.
Yeah, I like movies like that.
I'm fairly certain it's multiple movies like that.
Yeah, like I feel like you could put like Robert De Niro and, probably not him now, but Clint Eastwood. If they were
Definitely
in their prime,
not him now. Clint Eastwood's old as fuck.
Well, like I said, if you were to have them do it in their prime, that movie would be like smashing the box offices.
Yeah, it would slap.
Yeah.
All right, so back to the whole transitioning topics. This is still going to be more your lead here, Reeves, but let's talk about Nintendo. Nintendo Switch.
I've been waiting for this one. So, I've been wanting a Switch for a little while now, and then quarantine happened. Well, actually, COVID happened, and everybody's like, "Oh, I need a Switch! I need a Switch! I need a Switch!" and just wiped them off the shelves. And now there's so much supply and demand that they're not like really pushing them out anymore. Like they're not restocking them at stores or anything, which I don't know why. Maybe they just don't have them made.
I actually know why. I do know why. This was an issue a couple years ago. So Nintendo, they do this with all of their new consoles all the time. They've done it for decades. Their method of selling consoles is the you know who 100 Thieves is, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay. So 100 Thieves does the same
like
thing. Yeah,
they're basically just, okay.
They do limited amount drops, so that way people are willing to go above and beyond to make sure that they get it. To whereas they release a constant supply of it, to where there's always one on the shelf. People might not feel as urgent to go and get it, like they do with like a PlayStation or an Xbox, because they're always on the shelf.
Yeah, I did hear that there was they might be coming up with a third generation of the Switch, so I'll definitely cop one when I do get that. However, so let's get into the real topic at hand. So that kind of goes into people overselling or overpricing these Switches that don't hold their value at all at the price that they're pricing them. They're pricing them from $400 to $800.
Yeah,
that's just what I've seen. I don't know.
I think that a Switch isn't worth more than $200.
Well, here's the thing. They have a Switch Lite, which is $200, and then they have the actual Switch itself, which is $300. Which, that's only a $100 difference, but they're so different. The Switch Lite is only handheld. You can't hook it up to a TV. You can't sync it up to other people's Switches, and you can't use them as a, you know what I mean? You can't use them as a tablet, or you can't play 2-player on a Switch Lite. Whereas on a Switch, you can do all of that shit. You can hook it up to a TV. You can sync up your little Switch pads. You can play 2-player. You can even play, if you have another set of Joy-Cons, you can use those Joy-Cons and hook them up to your Switch. That's why I'm getting the Switch. I don't want the Switch Lite. But, so recently, now this is funny. I shouldn't have been on my phone, but I was in training, and he's not really a friend. He's more a friend of a friend. He does this. He puts stuff online. He sells shit online. And then not always, but in this case, he overpriced it. We're talking about the first generation Switch. which is a shittier version, obviously, than the second gen. The second gen has a way better battery life, way better screen, all that stuff, whereas the first gen doesn't. And he's selling the first gen at $400 because it's technically a collectible. When it's very, very used. It's very, very used, and it has a cracked screen, which he says is the screen protector. But even then, nobody's going to want to buy that. Why? Because now we know that it's been dropped a shit ton of times for the screen protector to crack, which could have fucked up the inside. So I didn't call him out. I didn't say, hey, you fucking asshole, you're overpricing. I just said, because he was like, I saw a post of his, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but basically he needed a computer monitor. So my specific comment was, hey, I'll trade you my monitor for your Switch, but I can get a Switch for $300, not $400. But I didn't say not $400. I just said I can get a Switch for $300. He got super, super pressed about it. And he's like, oh, you need to show me where you can get that, and this, that, and the other, because otherwise you're just calling me out, blah, blah. I was like, I'm not. I'm like, literally, if you go to Nintendo.com, they're listed at $390 or $299.99. Granted, they're all sold out, or at least, around me, they're all sold out. I could drive a couple hundred miles to go pick up one. But it's still going to be $300, and it's going to be the newer Switch, and it's going to be brand spanking new. So it's like, why? See, this is why I don't understand why people are pricing these Switches at $400, $500, $600, $700 when they don't hold that much value. So yeah. I don't know. I didn't even call them out either. I just literally said that they're $300.
I have kind of a negative opinion. I guess I don't really call it negative, but I have a weird opinion on Nintendo and the Switch in general. So I feel like back in the day, the Nintendo 64/GameCube area was probably the last time period where Nintendo made a console to compete with PlayStation and Xbox. I love competition. I feel like it breeds better shit, And I feel like what Nintendo releases does not pique my interest at all. I do not care about Nintendo. I was about to say,
you're looking at it the wrong way then.
I do not care about like Mario. I don't care about Smash. I don't care about any of that shit at all. Zelda, no fucks given. I do kind of want to play Animal Crossing though. That's been the only thing that I've seen that I was like, you know what? I might actually like that. It seems really relaxing. But I do not care about the types of games that they release on the Switch. Whereas back in the day with the Nintendo 64, they had games that released on both PlayStation and the fucking 64 that were the same game like it is now with Xbox and PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? Like there was competition there. And I wish that Nintendo would have kept doing that because then it would have, I might have liked Nintendo more because I used to play Mario and I liked it then. It's just, I don't know. I just have no interest in it. I feel like it's overpriced. I had friends who had Nintendo Switches and I used them and I played with them and it always felt like I was using a toy. And I'm just like, man, I can't get behind this. I just can't.
So, well, like I said, you're more of a console, like a traditional console. See, Nintendo has their own fan base.
They do.
Aside from that. See, personally, I'm only getting the Nintendo Switch for Pokemon, Animal Crossing, and if there's a Switch game that catches my eye, I'll probably get that too. I mean, I'm going to get Super Smash Bros. Because I have friends that play it, but personally, I don't really care about it. But that's the thing. Like, I'm only getting it for those games, and that's it. So, I don't mind the price. Personally, I don't really care. But that when you were talking about how you're not, like, whatever, there are people that are, and that they love. Like, Nintendo is a Japanese company, so everybody in Japan fucking loves the Switch. Sells great there. Sells great in the US too. So, I mean, obviously they're not going to compete with Sony or Xbox because
it's a different type of gaming, which I can respect.
Yeah, it's a different type of gaming.
They used to not be a different type of gaming. They used to be.
Yeah.
What bugs me about Nintendo is they can still have that type of gaming, and they can still release a console that can compete with Sony and Xbox. And I don't understand why they don't do both. It doesn't make sense to me. They used to. I don't know. I don't get it.
I remember growing up, I had a Wii, and I had the Nintendo 64, and I had like because I always played this. I fucking used to play the Polar Express game for it. And I remember when games like that were also on like, other consoles, but now like there's no Pokemon games for like the Xbox or the PS4.
See what I'm
Animal
saying?
Crossing
Like,
is
I
not for
feel
that.
like with today's technology, what you could do as a console game with those types of games would be amazing. And it's okay if it's only on a Nintendo product, but please make a console that competes with Xbox and PlayStation. Give me a reason to want to purchase that. It's very much how I feel about Xbox right now, kind of, where it's like, please, Microsoft, give me a reason. Give me a reason to get both of them. I want to. I'm not trying to like not own your shit like I spite you. That's not it at all. I want to like it. I want to own it. I want to have both. But if it doesn't make sense to do it, there's just I don't know, there's just no reason to do it. So, and that's how I feel with Nintendo. I have no interest in like the Switch for the most part. Like if somebody gave me a Switch right now for free, turning around and selling it would be more worthwhile for me than actually keeping it and using it.
Yeah. I feel you.
What's your stance on that, Pud?
I've only ever played the Wii like for an hour, and I just was like, "This is lame." It didn't do anything for me. I have no interest in anything Mario. I have no interest in anything Sonic. I have no interest. Zelda, yes. I've heard so much great shit of the Legend of Zelda games. Ocarina of Time and all of them. Fucking, this is my number one game. This is the best game I've ever played. This game holds everything. And I'm like, that sounds great. But what else is there to do on Nintendo that sounds fun besides that? Because, like, anything else, it just does not sound fun. Mario Kart, I've seen more people spike a controller playing that than I have fucking Call of Duty.
And when I played Mario Kart on the Switch back in West Virginia, we were actually recording videos of us playing Switch, and we were doing like tournaments and stuff, which was a great idea. But my issue with it was it felt cheap the whole time. It felt cheap. Like all I could think about the entire time, and I was even using a controller made for the Switch. But the only thing I could think about the entire time was like, man, if this was made and optimized for an actual console, this would run so much better. It just, I don't know, it just felt cheap, dude. And, but to people who are fans of Nintendo and you like that stuff, by all means, spend your money, you do you. Until Nintendo releases an actual console, which will probably never happen again, I won't be spending any money on it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, if they released an actual console, the very first game I ever owned was Mario, I think it was Mario 64, on the Nintendo 64. Loved it. I loved it. So it's not that I wouldn't play it, it's just I want it to feel high quality. And playing that kind of stuff on the Switch to me, it just feels cheap. It feels like a toy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're cool. I've played on a Switch Lite. That's another reason why I'm not getting the Switch Lite. It's too small. It doesn't fit my hands well. I have big hands, so the Switch is definitely better for that. That's another reason why I'm getting one. But that's the only like Nintendo product I want. I don't want a 3DS. I don't want like whatever. I just want the Switch.
Speaking of high quality games, let's talk about Ubisoft. Have any of you guys been following everything that Ubisoft has been announcing?
Nope.
No.
Oh my god, dude. So I feel like Ubisoft gets a mixture of hate, as well as I also feel like they're slept on. Like, Ubisoft announced, everybody knew that Watch Dogs Legion was coming. It had already been announced like 2 years ago, but they had delayed it so much that like we had no idea when it was actually going to come out. But Watch Dogs Legion comes out this fall. Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out this fall. One's in October, one's in November. Far Cry 6 releases in February. And I feel like Ubisoft is like, aside from Sony, I feel like Ubisoft is probably the leading publisher / developer that releases high quality single player experiences.
I mean, I don't really play that. The only ones that I've really played are, right now I'm playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is a couple years old, but that's really it. So,
Ghost Recon Wildlands is really good. Do not waste your your time with Breakpoint, dude? It's so bad.
I don't know. It was free to play this weekend, and I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty dope.
I went back and tried to play it maybe a week ago, and I couldn't do it, dude. I was like, this is fucking miserable. Oh, I loved Wildlands. I think I platinumed it or came really close to platinuming it. I just can't do it.
Yeah, it was like $15, so I was like, fuck it.
RT though, he's the one who got me hooked on Assassin's Creed forever ago, and it's sad to me to see that you don't continue to play Assassin's Creed. I don't really know why, because I feel like you would love it.
Until 2 years ago.
Well, I'm just surprised you haven't, tried to buy the newer games. They're not expensive. You can buy them cheap as fuck.
I have. I bought Syndicate, and I bought Black Flag, and I bought
Black Flag is the best Assassin's Creed.
Agreed.
Black Flag was fucking amazing. But the one right after that, it was the one where it was just the dude, not the twins.
Unity.
It felt so slow.
It is. It's a very long game. It is.
Like, I got so bored of that game. Because it progressed, so it was like watching a snail move.
It is a very long game. There's a lot of steps to it. I actually ended up really liking that game. I went into that game with very negative opinions of it. And by the time, they patched a bunch of stuff and I finished the whole story, I was like, wow, that shit was good. Like, they could have made a movie out of that game alone and it would have been good as fuck. But you're right, it is slow. It's very slow.
That being said, the one with the twins, Jacob and Evie, I like that one. I was playing that, and I bought a brand new game, and then I started playing the brand new game, and the problem is, if I put down a story-based game to pick up a different story-based game, I'm gonna completely forget the other one even exists. Especially if I don't have a physical copy of it to like, oh hey, it's sitting there on the shelf, I should play it. If it's digital and it just like eventually gets pushed off of my dashboard, I'll completely forget I even have it.
Yeah. Also, I want to apologize. I don't know if you guys hear a dog or any noise in the background. I'm really sorry. There are people here and it's kind of loud. There's really nothing I can do about it, but
I literally hear nothing.
Okay, so hopefully it's not too bad. But honestly,
your
Assassin's Creed... What?
I'd say your mic does not pick up anything until you start talking and it actually registers a sound. And then I think I hear a fan in the background, but I cannot tell. Like,
so
your mic doesn't pick up hardly anything.
I'm always paranoid that it is. But Assassin's Creed Syndicate I enjoyed that game, but my issue with Assassin's Creed Syndicate was I feel like it was too safe. They took a big risk with Unity. That was the first game that they released purely for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. You could definitely tell that because it had a whole lot of detail, a whole lot of just crazy graphic abilities that even now they don't try to do with the new games. Like, so many people in the streets, shit like that. They pushed it to its limits, and it got shit on because it had a whole bunch of bugs from them doing that. So when Syndicate came out, it was very safe and basic. It wasn't, there wasn't over the top. There wasn't a whole lot of new shit. And because of that, even though I enjoyed the game and I would probably rank it somewhere in the middle of all the Assassin's Creed titles, I didn't love it. The story to me wasn't anything that was super amazing. It was just kind of meh. And then they took 2 to 3 years and they rebooted the entire thing with Assassin's Creed Origins. And oh my god, I feel like that's the love child of like the perfect concept of an RPG mixed with Assassin's Creed, and I really like it. There's things that I don't like as much, but overall, I think it's great. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is probably my second favorite Assassin's Creed that's ever been released, right next to Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
You wanna know what my problem really is?
What?
In Assassin's Creed 3, when Desmond dies...
Yeah, that's a lot of people's issue.
Because before, it was driven off of all of these people are Desmond's ancestors. Connor Kenway is Desmond's ancestor. Ezio Auditore de Frienze is his ancestor. Altair is his ancestor. And now it's like, well, now we're letting other people essentially play an RPG as Desmond's ancestors.
Well, no. They did that for a couple of years. You're right. I think Unity, maybe Syndicate, and definitely Black Flag were weird years for that stuff, right? But they did bring it back. With these last 2 to 3 titles, they did bring it back to it being there's a real world consequence and like there's shit behind everything that's going on, and they do tie it into Desmond. I don't remember exactly how they did it. I really should just go back and play through all the Assassin's Creed games again, but they did tie it back into the main story. It's just you would have to actually play it to know that.
Well, all right then.
I mean, I definitely recommend that you pick up the new Assassin's Creed games and give it a shot, RT. I mean, the only negative thing for you, I think, is that those games are huge. They're so big. Like, there's so much to do that it's not like the other Assassin's Creed games where there's like, maybe a handful of quote unquote side quests, but they very much still feel linear in an open world. This is like, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of missions, quote unquote, that have literally nothing to do with the main story that are just their own individual thing.
Oh, I guess PUD can't hear us.
Oh, you can't hear us?
I guess not. He just texted the chat saying, guys.
Leave RT and join back. If you can hear us, leave and join back.
I just kicked him out. I didn't even know that I could do that, but I did it. Alright, he's back. Cool. Hello? Nope, still can't hear
God damn it, I fucking hate Discord. Let's go to a different room.
Right?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Hello?
That was so
We can hear
fucking.
you. Discord is kind of a pile of junk sometimes.
Yeah.
But what were you saying, Pud, since we couldn't hear you?
I tried to stop you as you cut out so I didn't fucking sit in the dark. Last thing I heard you say was a whole new world, and that's it.
Oh, so what I was saying was that the new Assassin's Creed games are so big that, like, back in the day, the old Assassin's Creed games, they'd have, like, a handful of side quests that were very linear, but in an open world game, whereas the new games are so massive and so big that there's hundreds and hundreds of missions and quests and shit that have nothing to do with the main story at all, that if you just did the side quests, it would take you fucking probably 30 hours just to do those. And that's not even counting the main game. Like, the game they're huge now. And the combat is a lot more complex than it used to be. It's not, push square when after this person gets blocked and you're going to kill him. It's like, no, you gotta duck and roll, and you gotta use your shield to block, hits, and then you gotta do all sorts of different shit to fight now. It's not just tap square, So, are you gone again, Pud?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you're eating. Got it.
No, I'm double fisting a glass of Pepsi and a glass of whiskey.
That's what she said.
Hell yeah, double fisting. That's where it's at. Well, the podcast is almost over. We've got about 15-ish minutes left here. I do have a couple of other topics that we can talk about. Honestly, actually, I only have two. We'll start with the other one that you had brought up, Reeves, which is starting a new job and the anxieties of starting a new job.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think it's stupid how brains work. I mean, on a personal level, I struggle with anxiety every day, so it's like nothing new. But like with this job that I just got, it was very intimidating because it's like I've never dealt with like tires in the sense of like taking them off the rim and putting them back on. I've only unbolted them from the car and put it back on. So, and there's like a whole process you got to do. So I was having like so much anxiety to the point where like I was in my bed, I couldn't sleep. I was just like my leg was bouncing up and down. My brain's going a mile a minute, thinking all this negative shit about how I'm gonna do bad and I'm gonna fuck everything up and then I'm gonna get fired and everybody's gonna fucking hate me and all that shit. When in reality, 3 weeks in, I'm doing great. I'm not in training anymore, and I'm like doing my shit, and everybody's fucking cool as shit. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's just stupid how that shit happens.
I do have my own personal experiences with anxiety. I don't really have them from a job aspect, really, but I have this issue where every once in a while I will get, if I'm around a large group of people, my chest will get tight. I feel like I'm in I feel like the walls are closing in, kinda, and I'm just like, all I want to do is just get the fuck out of wherever I'm at. Like every now and then I feel that way, but I've never had that feeling about a new job. Although I do get the nervousness that you're talking about, like feeling like you're not gonna be good at it, you're gonna fuck up, blah blah blah. This last job that I worked was kind of like that, only because I was supposed to have 3 months of training, or no, was it 6 months of training? I don't know, something like that. And they only gave me 2 weeks of training. And then they threw me into the job and I had no clue what I was doing. And then of course I'm working from home, so I didn't have anybody that I could directly reach out to be like, yo, like help me figure this out. So every single day was, and it was a big deal too, because it was like, it wasn't like I was, for instance, not to say your job isn't important or whatever, but it wasn't me fucking up a tire. It was me fucking up somebody's medical records and potentially costing them a lawsuit, you know, like it was huge shit that I didn't want to fuck up. And it was just too much. And on top of that, I wasn't being paid for what that was worth. So when I head into a job, the things that'll turn me off about wanting to work as hard as I know I can is if it's like, if it doesn't feel worth my time. If that job doesn't feel like there's places for me to go, if that job doesn't feel like I'm being compensated properly, and I can't, you know, feel confident in what I'm doing within a reasonable amount of time, I just completely dread the thought of even doing it. Because it just doesn't feel like it's for me.
Yeah, I mean, I also have that anxiety when I'm around people, but that's just like everything. Like, for example, driving, or if I'm just walking by myself in a literal like empty space, like nobody's around me, or in my own room, or like streaming. I think we've talked about this before with like swatting and shit.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's stupid, and I hate it. And then like nothing like ever happens, but it like never goes away. Because like, I mean, sometimes I do, like going into work, I'm like fuck, but then I get there and then I like, my brain just shuts off. Literally just like shuts off. Like I don't know what I'm doing half the time, just because I'm not thinking. But
see, I want a job like that again. I want a job where I can just go in, turn my brain off, and just work.
It's not that I want to turn my brain off. It's literally because it's so physically exhausting that my brain physically cannot work.
Where I'm at right now, they're hiring like stalkers and stuff at Target for $15 an hour, and I'm really hoping I fucking get it. Because
go ahead.
I worked at Walmart for a while, and I took that job for granted. My grandma died, and they wouldn't give me time off, so I quit, and I shouldn't have done that. But I took that job for granted for sure, and if I could do something very similar to that and get paid way more, like that's what I need right now. I need a job where I can go in, and the reason I need something like that is so that way I know every single day that I can turn off the part of my brain that does all of the thinking that I use for streaming, for videos, for ideas, all that shit, so I can use that for those purposes, you know, and I don't have to go into work and like feel like I am expending all of my usefulness for the day at this place that I'm just using for a paycheck, that I don't have any passion for. Because let's be real, there's nothing that I'm going to work where I can just put an application and get hired that I'm going to be passionate about. It's not going to happen. It's going to have to be some sort of a college education, or it's going to be what I'm doing, the streaming, the podcast, YouTube, whatever. So I have to try to figure out how to spend my energy throughout the day to try to maximize it where I want it most, but I still have to have money to live. So that's where I'm at this point. What were you going to say, Pud?
I was just say, Reeves, is it that your brain stops working, or is that your brain goes into autopilot?
I can't even answer that question, because like when I'm at work, like it'll be simple shit that I do wrong. Like for example, my mentor was like, all right, I need you to take the tires off on this side. So I started taking off the front tire, which wasn't jacked up. The back tire was. And they're like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, taking off the tires. And they're like, no, you're supposed to take off the back one. I was like, oh. So it's like shit like that. Like, I just don't I don't think about anything. I just do. Like, I just do.
Dude, that is gonna happen because you've not been doing it very long.
Yeah, that just sounds like an experience thing.
But then it's like other shit. It's like other shit where it's like, when I'm like, so there's a whole process you got to do to take down the tire. Like, you got to take out the valve stem, and then you got to like pop the bead. Hold on, let me explain, because Cody doesn't know. Let me explain. You gotta pop the bead, then you put on the tire changer, and then you gotta take the fucking breaker arm, and you gotta put it up, pull the tire off, blah, blah, whatever. And then after, you're supposed to rebuild the TPMS, and then all that shit. Sometimes I'll just skip steps. I'll just take the tire off, throw a new one on, bada bing, bada boom. And then they'll be like, did you replace the TPMS? No. Alright, take out the fucking valve stem again. Do that shit. Or like balancing. Or even clocking out. Like after like a long ass fucking day. My brain just like shuts off or it goes in autopilot.
If you don't mind me asking, how much are you making working at that job though?
How I will say this is the fucking most I've ever made. I'm making $14 an hour.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what I wanted to hear. Hell yes.
Dope as shit.
Hold on to that shit as long as you can.
I'm going to. Well, actually, this is a company where they actually care about their people and they actually reward people for being there.
That's good.
So, like, if COVID wasn't a thing, like, I'll tell you this, because of when I joined, around Christmas time, I'm going to get, like, a $650 bonus for being there. But if COVID wasn't a thing, if I was there, like, I don't know, let's say 4 months or something, we all go out and we, like, go to Tahoe and we have, like, a party, like, on a Sunday, because we're off every Sunday.
Yeah.
And we throw, like, a big discount tire party. And, like, we can test out new vehicles, like, brand new Jeeps that came out. We can, like, drag race them. Or, like, shit like that. Like, fucking party all the time. So, like, I don't know, you get rewarded for literally being there and, like, doing this physically exhausting job. So, I mean, it's pretty dope. I mean, I like it a lot. Especially, I'll say I get paid weekly, and I'll actually tell you the full amount that I got paid. So, I only worked 25 hours my first week. So, I got $309. And then when I was working at AutoZone making like $10.75, that was $50-something more than what I made in 2 weeks at AutoZone. And then I'm going to be getting paid more this week, and then the week after that, because I'm getting more and more fucking hours. Because I'm working like 30 hours a week. So.
Yeah,
That's fucking dope.
That's good that you found something that's reliable as far as that goes. I don't know. I'm really searching for. I don't want to air all of my issues out on the podcast necessarily, but if anybody who's watching this podcast are people who are from my channel and they watch most of my videos, you know that I moved to Florida recently. I'm staying with my brother. I'm trying to get back out on my own. Every day that goes by, I thirst to be like in my own apartment again or in my own house again so much because I never realized how much I loved it when I was living on my own, and I knew when I was there that I was going to end up missing that. I just didn't realize how much. But I need to get a car because nothing is close in the same way that it was where I was at before. So that's an issue I have to worry about. I have to pay my fucking taxes, which is a whole nother problem. They basically said they're going to double how much I owe because I couldn't pay it on time. So it went from me owing $800 to $1,600, regardless of COVID. All sorts of things that I have to take care of that are just super stressful. So in order to do those things, I have a standard of I have to have a job that pays me a certain amount. And if I don't do that, then I'm always going to be stuck in this hole. And that's just adds a whole other layer of stress. You know, I have to be making 14 to 15 an hour at least. And it's just, it's a lot of stress, but it is what it is.
See, I'm hoping that I can start streaming again soon, like even with working. It's just like when I get home, like when you messaged me, like the first week I started working there.
Yeah.
You should have seen me when I came home. Literally, I would my head would be down. I'd be huffing and puffing. I'd like struggle to get up the stairs, go straight to my room. I wouldn't even I would literally have my legs hanging off the side of my bed, and I'd just be laying directly in front of my AC, and literally almost pass out. Not from you know what I mean, but just tired.
Yeah, I didn't deal with the physical exhaustion of a job with my last job that I worked because I worked in a call center, but the mental exhaustion, dude, is extreme. I mean, I was going in at 7 or 8 a.m. depending on what time they would let me come in, and I was working until 11 p.m. most nights of the week. And I would go home, and then when I would get home, at that point I wasn't streaming consistently at that time, but I would go home, and then the first thing that I would do is I would sit in my office chair and I would instantly think, all right, what can I record for a video? What can I do to work towards a video that I need to have done by this week or by next week? I would do that for like 2 hours, and then I'd be asleep by 2 a.m. I would wake up at, if I had to be to work at 7, I'd wake up at 6. If I had to be work at 8, I'd wake up at 7. And I'd start the process all over again. That's how I bought my drone. That's how I bought my camera. I mean, those two things combined, as well as like the accessories, was like almost $3,000 worth of shit. And I did that in like a month and a half. Like, I worked my fucking ass off to be able to get that shit. And it's a good feeling, but at the same time, it's like, God, like, at what cost,
See, that's another thing too. It's like I would upgrade my streaming equipment, and it's not like, I know I said this. It's like, it's not more so of the fact like sacrificing like upgrading. It's more, I need my own vehicle, and that's gonna cost like $7,000 plus, and I'm not trying to, see, when I get my truck, I'm going to buy it at a dealership, but I'm trying to buy a car that I don't need to make payments on. So that way I can just focus on getting my truck.
So this is kind of relative to our current discussion and you just starting a job. What's probably going to happen, because I need to play catch up, is I'm hoping that I can get a job within the next couple of weeks. And once I do that and I know exactly what hours I'm going to be working, I'm going to instantly start looking for a second job, and I'm going to have to work that job during the day, the other job at night, and I'm going to have to do that for probably at least until January-ish to catch up with paying some shit off and buying a car and making sure I have money saved up for an apartment. I also need to make sure I have money saved up to buy the new consoles when it drops, all these games that are going to drop in November and December and shit. And if it wasn't for the fact that I stream and that I'm trying to make YouTube videos and trying to make that a thing, I wouldn't worry about those, but those are, this is going to be a very important time, a make or break moment for growth on a lot of channels. And if I need to be able to cover that shit as soon as it happens, or as soon as physically possible, if I want any hopes at, jumping in viewership. So it's so stressful, dude. I feel like I've got 3 different types of stress on my shoulders. The stress of needing to be responsible and get it on my own and take care of my shit, but also the stress of not wanting to, it's hard to explain, right? Like, everybody says you need to get your priorities in line, and I 100% understand that, but at what point is it getting your priorities in line, or letting the regular world bullshit stop you from chasing what you want,
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, when I think about shit like that, it's like, okay, well, what I'm going to do to be the difference maker in that is I'm not going to do either of those things. I'm going to do both of those things, regardless of how that affects me and how much sleep I get. Like, I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm not going to allow myself to have the excuse of, I need to prioritize this over that. No, fuck that. I'm just going to do both.
Yeah. See, that kind of, so last Friday, I was like, or I think it was Thursday, I don't know. I just did not want to go to work. But then I was so glad that I did go to work, because I'm still used to getting paid every 2 weeks, and I didn't realize I was getting paid weekly. So now I'm at the point where it's like, Cody, we need you to do an all-day shift. I'm going to be like, fuck yeah. Because that's more fucking money for me.
Exactly.
Next week. Even though the job, so I have a love-hate relationship with it. I fucking love working there. I just hate doing the work.
Yeah, because with that type of job, that's normal, I'd say.
Yeah, I
feel like RT probably has a very similar. I think RT has a very similar feeling, right?
Yeah, for sure.
RT.
Yes, I've been holding my tongue to let you guys talk.
Well, let it all out, because you barely talk or I feel like you barely talk on the podcast, so.
Yes, but you guys, when you both get talking, you both get talking.
Be dominant, Pud. Cut us off sometimes. Fuck.
Yeah, jeez.
I'm not dominant. I sneak up behind you. That's how I work.
Get some goddamn hair on your chest. Step into the conversation. Go ahead.
Reeves, the whole making mistakes thing, you're new, you're going to do that. I've been working at my job for 2.5 years. I still make mistakes. Breaking down the tires, it can be a pain in the ass, and I've learned tricks. Like, if you know a tire is going to be a pain in the ass to put back on, throw it outside in the sunlight. That shit will make that tire soft as chewing gum.
No, it gets so fucking hot out here. Fuck that.
Yeah,
it does not matter.
No, it does matter, because listen, we have ways of getting the tires off if they're being stubborn little bitches anyways. So we don't even need to do that. But there were tires literally
No.
sitting outside. Fuck that. It burns my hands up even if I'm wearing gloves. I'm not fucking sending it outside. Fuck you.
Not off, putting them on. If you know it's going to be a bitch, put them outside for 4 minutes.
Oh, because it makes it
Or
more
even-
flexible, huh?
As soon as you bust the bead, and if it's being a bitch and won't come off, like it won't bust, put the valve stem back in, and it keeps pressure in,
I'll
and when
bust.
it finally decides to go, it fucking goes.
See, but
'Cause, like,
that's
you
the thing.
think-
we don't need to do that because literally the machine makes it easier to take it off.
Yes, I know. I also use a machine. I'm saying if you get tires that have really long sidewalls and it doesn't want to go, it just keeps wanting to flex. If you keep the valve core in it, the air pressure itself makes it go. But if you throw the tire outside while you're doing it, like while you're getting it off, throwing it back on is so much easier because that shit's so pliable.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is why though. Like, do you guys have a dead room at your work for all the old? So, I mean, I would probably assume no. But like, where you throw all the dead tires, the tires that you take off when you replace it with new ones.
We don't have a room, no. We have like a 10 by 20 corral outside that we throw old tires in.
Okay, so we have a room and we have to lace them up. And my first official full day of working where there was no training, I had to completely take down the dead room and put all the tires outside and relace them up. And they weren't out there for that long. And literally, I had to get a new pair of gloves because literally the rubber and the heat burned through my gloves. I was like, fuck that. That shit hurted a lot.
Hurted.
So, yeah, I'm not putting nothing outside no more. It gets like 100 degrees. Fuck that.
We are
Yeah,
we are past the hour mark by a decent amount here. I don't know if you guys have anything that you strongly want to say. You say so, but bitch, I'm the one that's got to edit this and render it and everything else, which is going to hold my computer hostage for a while.
yeah, that's your computer.
Fuck
Not mine.
you. So do you guys have any final words that you want to say? There was one topic that we didn't get to, but I'm going to save it for next week.
Well, what's the topic?
Well, we're going to have to find out next week.
No, I want to know.
Don't
I'll tell
be
you
a
guys.
bitch. Just
I'll tell you guys
tell
off.
us.
I'll tell you guys off.
Is
podcast.
it something you foresee taking a long time?
Yes.
Tell us what it is, then we can think about an answer for next week.
Okay. I just wanted to talk about Logic's deal with Twitch. But I know you probably don't have much of an opinion on
I don't
that.
really give a shit. I mean, it's stupid. I'm gonna make this short and sweet. I think it's stupid that there's favoritism. He's a celebrity and instantly gets partnered with us. We have to fucking grind out months, and he just gets $1 million and partner.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute. I don't agree with you on that. I do think that Twitch plays favoritism. Hold on. Let me correct that real quick. Twitch does play favoritism. They've shown it time and time again with their banning system, all that shit. I agree with you. But the Logic situation, I don't know if you know Logic's background, like not just based off of his songs, but how he actually came up.
Logic.
But my point is he worked for his platform. So if his platform gives him access to stuff like this deal with Twitch, he worked for that deal. So I can't hate on him for it. I can't.
Well, I mean, I can't hate on him for it either, but it's like he streamed 3 times in the last year. That's it. Just 3. We stream like every fucking day and we don't even get to that point. You know what I mean?
He can pull numbers. He has an audience.
I know he
I
has.
say he had a prior following. It's just like when Cody. It's like when Cody was saying that some Instagram dude with like 5,000 followers on Instagram started streaming. He instantly made fucking partner. Well, yeah, because a lot of his Instagram followers went to watch him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why I can't really hate. I just think it's like
it's frustrating.
Yeah,
it's frustrating because we're literally putting in the work for that, and it feels as if he was handed it, but in reality he wasn't because he did put in the work just in a different way.
Personally, I have watched his Twitch streams before. I follow him.
I don't think I've ever watched one of his streams.
I do. I like his music. So like, he's one of the only rappers I do like. So, but with that being said, that's all I'm saying on it. We can talk about it more after the stream, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything for this podcast. Sorry that I fucked up the audio last time. Sorry it's been about 2 weeks since we uploaded one of these, but Game Crew Podcast, episode number 3.